Welcome to my channel, Worldwise. I bet you didn't know about the great casino bomb heist in Tahoe. The morning of August 26, 1980, dawned bright. It was deceptively calm over Lake Tahoe. Inside Harvey's resort hotel, the casino hummed. Slot machines chirped their endless songs. Gamblers chased fortunes, big and small. Then two men arrived. They looked ordinary. They wheeled in a large metal box. It looked like office equipment, or a new computer. Few people noticed. Fewer cared. It was just another delivery. The box was covered in a pale gray fabric. It was surprisingly heavy for its appearance. The men wore nondescript work clothes. They moved with a quiet purpose. They navigated through the busy casino floor. No one questioned them. No one stopped them. They placed the machine near the executive offices. It sat there, silent and ominous. A metallic beast hiding a terrible secret. Its presence was an unwelcome, unknown guest. The men left as quietly as they came. No fanfare, no suspicion, just gone. The machine itself was imposing. The clock had started ticking. Bob Vinson was a pit boss at Harvey's. He was used to the casino's rhythms. The clatter of chips, the spin of the roulette wheel, the murmurs of wins and losses. This morning, however, felt different. A strange machine had appeared. It was near the high roller tables. He saw it during his morning rounds. Something about it felt wrong, terribly wrong. His gut churned with unease. Vinson approached the machine cautiously. It was large, metallic, unfamiliar. An envelope was taped to its side, clearly visible, meant to be found. The envelope had a single word typed on it: management. His unease grew into a cold dread. This was not standard casino equipment, this was something else entirely. He knew instinctively this was trouble. Big trouble for Harvey's. He carefully detached the envelope. His hands were steady despite the fear. He was a professional, trained to handle situations, but nothing could prepare him for this. He needed to alert security, quickly, quietly. The letter was typed, precise, cold. It began with a stark declaration. The machine was a bomb, a very powerful bomb. It was filled with 1,000 pounds of dynamite. The bomber claimed it could not be disarmed, not easily, not without disastrous consequences. He stated it was tamper-proof. Movement would trigger it. Any attempt to open the casing would set it off. The casino was trapped. The bomb was its jailer. The author was clearly intelligent and very serious. The letter demanded $3 million, a staggering sum in 1980. The money was to be delivered in used $100 bills. Specific instructions for the delivery would follow. The bomber warned against tricks. No marked bills. No tracking devices. He claimed he would know. He had ways of knowing. The letter was chillingly confident, arrogant even. The authorities read it, then read it again. They were dealing with a professional, or a madman. The casino was under siege. The decision was made quickly: evacuate. Harvey's hotel had over 600 rooms. Guests were sleeping, or just waking up. The casino floor still had players. Staff had to move them out, calmly, efficiently, no sirens, no shouting, just firm instructions. There is a security situation, please leave the building. Many were confused, some were annoyed. The gravity of the situation was not yet public. But the evacuation proceeded, floor by floor. Meanwhile, the bomb squad arrived. Men from the U.S. Navy's Explosive Ordnance Disposal, EOD unit. They were flown in from California, experts in their field. They wore heavy protective gear. They moved slowly, deliberately. Their task was immense, their burden heavy. They approached the machine with extreme caution. X-rays were taken, trying to see inside, trying to understand its deadly secrets. The bomber's letter was their only guide, a guide written by the enemy. The tension was a physical thing. Every tick of the clock sounded like a hammer blow. Time was running out. The bomber's demand was clear: $3 million. Cash, unmarked, used bills, small denominations. This was not pocket change. It was a fortune. Harvey Gross, the owner of the casino, was faced with an awful choice. Pay the ransom, or risk his entire hotel. Risk the lives of anyone nearby if it went wrong. The FBI advised against payment. Standard procedure. Paying ransoms encourages more criminals, more bombs. But this was not a standard situation. The bomb was real. The threat was immediate. Discussions were frantic behind closed doors. Law enforcement, casino executives, insurance companies. The clock was ticking loudly in everyone's ears. The bomber had promised further instructions for delivery. They had to prepare, just in case. The money was gathered, a monumental task in itself. Sourced from various banks, under tight secrecy. It was a desperate measure, a last resort, but the alternative, A massive explosion was unthinkable. The weight of the decision was crushing. The pressure on the law enforcement team was immense. The helicopter waited, rotors still. Inside, the pilot and an FBI agent. They had the bags, filled mostly with paper, a thin layer of real cash on top. The air was thick with tension. Radio silence observed. They were waiting for the bomber's call. The call with the coordinates for the drop. Every minute felt like an hour. The fate of Harvey's and potentially many lives hung in the balance. This was a mission into the unknown. The call finally came. A disguised voice, calm, collected, giving precise instructions. The drop zone was a remote spot, near Lake Tahoe, wooded, secluded, perfect for an ambush or an escape. The helicopter lifted off, a speck against the vast sky, heading towards the designated coordinates. FBI surveillance teams were already in the area, hidden, waiting, hoping to spot the pickup. But the terrain was difficult. The bomber was cagey. He had chosen his location well. Back at Harvey's, the bomb still sat, silent, menacing, a metallic sphinx. The money drop had failed to lure out the bomber. Time was up. The authorities had to act. They could not leave the bomb indefinitely. The risk was too great. The hotel was a landmark. The experts decided on a bold plan. They would try to disrupt the bomb's mechanism, using a shaped charge, a controlled explosion, hoping to sever the detonation circuits before the main charge blew. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble. The bomb squad cleared the area completely. Nearby buildings were evacuated, streets closed. Lake Tahoe held its breath. The technicians worked remotely, using robotic devices where possible. The shaped charge was placed carefully. This was it, the moment of truth. If it worked, the bomb would be neutralized. If it failed, Harvey's casino would be rubble. The countdown began. The shaped charge detonated with a sharp crack. For a split second there was silence, hope, then a deafening roar. The bomb went off. The FBI sifted through the debris. They analyzed every fragment of the bomb. It was a complex device, ingeniously constructed. But the bomber had made mistakes. Small ones. He had left clues, microscopic traces. The investigation was relentless. Agents fanned out, they interviewed hundreds of people, chased down leads. The bomber called himself a desperate man. He was driven by something powerful, something dark. The profile began to form, intelligent, meticulous, and likely familiar with explosives. The break came from an unlikely source. Tips pointed towards a disgruntled gambler, a man named John Burgess, Sr. He was a Hungarian immigrant, a former millionaire. He had lost his fortune in the casinos, including Harvey's. He was bitter. He was vengeful. He was desperate for money. He had owned a landscaping company. He knew dynamite. The pieces started to fit. Burgess was a larger-than-life character, smart, arrogant. He believed he could outsmart everyone. Burgess was eventually arrested. Thanks for watching. Check out my next video now.